Yeah. Let us know.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Emotional Entrepreneur Show. We're so excited to be here with you today. This is Summer, and that is
Jen. I said it more assertively.
Yes, Jen.
Jen. Not Jen.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, I gotta change it up.
Change it up, girl. Well, welcome everybody. We should be live on LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. Let's check our LinkedIn. Jen, do you mind doing that for us? I'm trying to check it now and
we're good on IG. Yep, we're good on IG.
What about LinkedIn?
Let me see.
I'm not seeing us come up there yet.
All right, let me look. Summer. Dun, 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 dun. Yep, we're on.
Okay, fantastic. Okay.
I see us.
Oh, yay. Awesome. Okay. So, oh, yay. It just popped up on mine. Okay, so let me just get online. And it's all this techie stuff. All right. So here we are. We are live and in action on all three platforms: YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn. Join us every week here. Yes, right here, wherever you're watching us from, for a different subject. Today, we're going to be talking about balancing tradition and innovation, what we can learn from 5 generations in the workforce. Yes, there are currently 5. Yes, I said 5, and soon to be Generation Alpha, which will be 6. So we need to make sure we are ready. And this is something that both Jen and I and the team at Core Women at Core Mentorship Solutions have been talking about now. And this is such a critical aspect of mentorship, of business success. So you will find that Jen and I, maybe every week, every other week, we'll be talking about something related to business success as well as cross-generational mentorship, because we do find it so important. There's so many different variables that are related to this particular subject. But today we're going to be talking about that balance between tradition and innovation. And there's so many different variables to that. So let's just jump right in. There's a couple of things that we really want to touch on today, and that's really to adopt a bridge builder mindset, what that means. Also, how to embrace cross-generational mentorship, cross-generational mentorship, which is really important. And then also how to build generational pods. This is really interesting. I really love this for innovation purposes. And then also multi-generational insights for stress testing, which is really important, which is a subject I absolutely love. So let's get into this. Let's talk about these 4 subject areas, because these 4 factors, because there's so much to say about them. Jen, I'm turning over to you.
Yeah, that you got me on the word stress test.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, that is really. I'm even looking forward to hearing about that, because back in the day when I was a full-time packaging designer, we did stuff for all the major warehouse stores like Costco, Sam's, all those different places, and then I remember we had to build the boxes so that whatever was going in it, we would drop it. We would see how much damage was done, how much was salvaged. So it's really interesting when I hear the word stress test. It's creating a scenario where after something goes through the ringer, how is it looking afterwards?
Yeah, and this is interesting. Your concept of stress testing and this concept of stress testing, it's really very interesting how it is a little different. but same outcome, right? So let's talk about adopting a bridge builder mindset first, and then we'll go to stress testing because it is kind of an interesting concept here.
Right.
So adopting a bridge builder mindset. What does that mean? So we are really, what that means is we want to recognize your role as a bridge between tradition and innovation. How are you currently doing that at your job, in at your with your business? This is something to really consider. We have 5 generations in the workforce, from traditionalists to Gen Zs and soon to be Gen Alphas, which are coming up very quickly. And we have people in their 70s now and later, right? Working in the workforce. And what does that look like from generation to generation? How are we really looking at each person and each generation's strengths? What tools they bring to help leverage the success of that business, of your business, of maybe a company's business. For instance, older generations may offer time tested problem solving techniques, while younger generations will offer or provide fresh tech driven efficiency. That's so important. And if we're not open to that, guess what? We're losing out.
Right.
We
And
really
on both
are
sides.
on both
Both
sides.
sides. Yeah.
Absolutely. So when we're talking about this, I want you to remember, and Jen pointed this out just now, it's a really, really good point. It's not one side, it's both sides. It's multi-directional, actually.
This is not reverse mentorship. I don't know how many times I have to say that.
Bingo. Bingo. Thank you for saying that, because that's something that we really stress in our program. This is not reverse mentorship. The reason we don't call it reverse mentorship is because this is really a flat process, meaning that, or horizontal process. This is, or design, this is really what we like to call that horizontal design, because we take out the power leverage of either side. And because this is multi configured, because we're looking at multiple generations, we're not looking at just two sides. And we want to take that power leverage out. Why? Because it helps break down silos. It helps build up communication. It helps build trust, right? When that ego, that power leverage is taken out of the equation. And so we are going to stress this over and over again, because this program that we're talking about, Cross Mentorship Solutions, it also has, it is also it's developed principles of Adlerian psychology. And Adler also stressed that to bring community together, there were certain things that we really wanted to pay attention to, like breaking down barriers to communication, really finding out ways to connect. And one of those ways is taking out that power differential. So, all right, so adopt a bridge builder mindset. This is so important. If you don't have a strategy for this, strategically, we can look at folks who have that generational strategy mindset, which might be that older generation, right? Although it could be our younger generation as well. We're not going to make assumptions here, but get together, create a strategy together as a multi-generational workforce, right? Because you want to work together, because you're really missing out on certain aspects of what your consumers want if you don't talk as a multi-generational group, right? And break down those barriers to really get at the heart of that communication, the heart of that resolution, the heart of something where you're trying to develop a product or a program that will reach many. So work together collectively as a team by really adopting that bridge builder mindset. Jen?
Yeah, I think the bridge builder really is important, and it's having that open mind, because it's so easy for us to, get into our ego and the need to be right, and feeling like, well, my way's better because I'm younger and you're old, and that's not how we do it anymore. And then vice versa. We could be in on the, the traditionalists or Gen Z, Gen X, or no, more the traditionalists and baby boomers can
Mhm.
have that feeling of like, well, I know better because I'm older. So both sides have an example in their own unique way of how they can be very close-minded. And when we're in that space, that doesn't allow for growth. And then there's a standstill. So I think it's really, really important for us to just drop the ego and have a growth mindset and say, you know what? I might not be used to this, but let me be open minded to seeing what is possible. How can I learn from these other people in other generational levels? How can I learn? And how can I be open minded to whatever it is that they can show me or what they do? How can I use it to enhance my current, work and what I'm doing, and have a different perspective on how to tackle it? And I think if we go in it with that open-mindedness, those are the kinds of things that help close that gap and bridge those people together. So please be, open-minded and just have that mindset of like, hey, what's possible?
Absolutely. It's so important. And this is very related. And then we'll jump to, I promise, the stress test. So embrace cross-generational mentorship. If you haven't done that and you need help doing that, reach out to me. Reach out to my team. It's so important. You can find us on LinkedIn. You can find the Core Women on our LinkedIn business page. And if you haven't liked that business page on LinkedIn, please go like Core Women business page today,
Yes.
because you will be updated about the program that we have launched. You will also be notified about our newsletter where we talk about really critical things to help your business succeed and soar. So go check out the business page, the Core Women business page, and we will be covering cross-generational mentorship in our newsletters as well, which is so important right now. It really is. So embrace cross-generational mentorship. How do you do that? It's not just two-way, it's multi-directional, as I said. It's breaking down those barriers. It's really creating bridges. It's really, and these aren't just words, but they're really understanding and accepting that things are changing. Things have changed. So, how are you working together to be more collaborative, to be more understanding, to really leverage each other's strengths? That's about taking out the ego. That's about, yes, being strategic in a way that both works for all generations within the workforce, understanding cultural trends, understanding innovation trends. Guess what? You're not going to get that by just looking at one generation. You're going to invite cross-generational mentorship and understand what that looks like together, to be more collaborative, to be open to new ideas. And yes, sometimes that can be hard because we think our idea is the right idea, but guess what? It's not always the case. You ever
Mhm.
look at you ever look at new cars from year to year and think, wow, where do they come up with that design? Right?
Right.
But it's like, do you think they tested this? Do you think that they put out polls, surveys, taught people about designs before they actually started manufacturing those cars?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
hell yeah.
Here here's
Absolutely.
here's something interesting about that. So when I was in Art Center, which is a design school in Pasadena, California,
Yeah.
some of my instructors, all the instructors I had at that school worked in the field. They weren't only instructors. So I had an instructor that worked at Oakley, the one that makes the
Uh-huh.
glasses and gear and stuff. And I had two instructors there. One was the original first designer ever hired.
Mm.
I remember his name's Peter Yee. And then another one was for product design. And he was a transportation or car designer. And so they would do those concept cars, and it was so cool because at the
Yes.
school, like, it would be, like, an entire wall that took up, like, 20 feet, and it was, like, a giant piece of paper, and it was, like, the concept cars, just wild stuff, and they would even do the renderings, and I remember thinking, like, "These are so cool," right? They're, like,
Yeah.
purple and hot pink, aqua colors, and super, super, like, modern looking, and granted, this was, 20 almost 25 years ago, and I
Yeah.
remember asking Toby, I said, "Hey, how come we don't see those cars like out on the road, right? Like, how come this is so cool?" And he's like, it's because people aren't ready for that change. He's like, why do you think when you see the car from year to year, there's only something very slight that changes? Maybe the headlight, maybe the grill on the front. He said, we can't shock everybody and jump from one concept to the next because people wouldn't buy it. He's like,
Yeah.
we can only change one thing at a time. And so I remember hearing that. I was like, wow. That so you hear over the years like people are afraid of change. It is so true.
Yeah.
I have heard that every single year, and to me, I was like, bring on the cool concept cars,
Yeah.
but it's just the society's not ready for it. So it's even translated to this very topic. This is why in our program we walk people through the process. It's not
Yeah.
like we can just dump everything. Like, this is like a year-long process where we have to learn how to adapt different ideologies. How do we approach communication? How do we talk to leadership? How do we talk to people on the teams? So it's this whole thing about we can't shock everybody and expect the results in, like 3 weeks. And that's why I think it speaks to why the program is set up the way it is, because it takes time to change. It takes time to turn an entire culture around so that the greater good for everybody involved is going to be experienced.
Oh, bravo. Yes, absolutely. You know what? I love what you just mentioned there about concept cars because I love cars. I do. I love cars and I love looking at concept cars, knowing that that's not going to be the car that, Toyota, Lexus, Honda really comes out with, right? But they're super cool. And I'm like, that is just the coolest, right?
Right.
And so, yet it's like we can't shock our consumers. So strategically, when you look at, somebody who puts together, maybe somebody in your company who's putting together the strategy to better understand and develop the puzzle pieces that they need to bring together, meaning what's the mission for that car, the vision for that car, what are some of the key concepts regarding that car, the goals, right? The timeline to make this car, to launch this car, to pull, community, who's your demographic, like all these things regarding strategy. So come together collaboratively so you can put together that puzzle, but be open to it. Otherwise, once you start building walls and not bridges, what happens? You don't have innovation. You don't have movement. That shuts down. And guess what? That's not healthy for your business. And
Right.
so this is a really critical aspect of business growth, cross-generational mentorship, or KMS, is because we want your business to soar. And Jen is absolutely right. Our program's a very high touch. So basically, we're going to help you develop different things as you go through the process to not shock your culture, right? But to bring in different ideas and a new vision for the company and change that culture in a way that's healthy. And so as we have a lot of people we're working with. So we want to bring in all those ideas, but we need people to hear them without having walls between hearing those ideas. So we really want to build the bridge builder mindset, or create that. We want to embrace cross-generational mentorship. And I love what you said about the concept cars. It's funny, Jen, when I think about these cars and why I brought it up, I was just looking at a maker, more of it's a luxury car. And I thought, man, I would really love that car because it's finally got it to a point where I'm like, ooh, yes, that is my style, right? It's pretty much the same as my 4Runner, but the luxury version, right? And so I was just like, oh my gosh, I love my 4Runner. She's like sturdy and strong, and yet she's got like the bells and whistles, and she's got the leather interior, and she's got the sunroof and whatever. She's got that. And then I saw the luxury version of that, and I was like,
Hmm.
that is pretty darn cool. Do I want the car payment? Not necessarily. Do I want the car?
Just want the car.
Absolutely. I know, right? But last year, the year before, they came out, not this particular maker model. It's another car company came out with a new year, a new model, and they changed the grill. And I was like,
Mm,
oh, I do not like that. And they did it because a lot of car makers like Toyota and Lexus, they're on the same racks, right? They get manufactured in the same manufacturing company. So, or maybe close to, right? I could be wrong about that, but they're the same company essentially.
yeah.
And so
They
you
are.
see a lot of the same similarities, right? And so I was looking at grills and I was like, no, I wouldn't even buy that car because of that grill.
I am so particular about the grill.
Oh my gosh, me too.
It's weird. Like, if it's an ugly pattern that looks like a
Oh,
freaking waffle, I don't like
yes,
it.
me
Like, it's
too.
ugly, like squares. It's like it has to
Yes,
have a certain, spacing with the bars and everything. Like, if it looks like a waffle, I'm like, I don't like
right.
it. That will kill it for me. I will, like, not like any of the car at all. It'll just be
Girl,
done.
I am the same way. I that is exactly what like just turned me off from that car. I'm like, I wouldn't buy that car just because of
Yeah.
that. I'm like,
Or the lights in the back, the brake lights.
oh,
That's another part of it that I don't like. If the brake lights are designed in an ugly shape, I,
yeah.
like, will not want that. I don't like it.
The, the other thing I think about is, and I know we're kind of off of mark here, but we'll get there. I promise. But when they do that to the taillights, and if they have a certain design or they blink a certain way, I think not just about design, I think how much is it going to cost to fix this if this goes out, right? Like, so this is going to be a lot of money if it's not covered on your warranty, especially if there's multiple lights where it's like you're
Oh,
braking and it goes, right? And I
I
was like,
haven't seen that. Yeah,
oh, you
versus just
haven't?
one bulb behind the plastic
Yeah.
panel. It's like,
Yeah, no, this is like multiple bulbs, or it's like just innovation
and they're
where
like
it just
$40 each.
yeah, exactly. Or it could be electrical. Like how much more is that going to cost
Oh
me in electrical? So
gosh.
all these things start running through my brain, right? And I'm like, who did they test this on? Like who did they
Employees.
no, right, who did they want to sell this to, right? So anyway, getting to not just bridge building, which is so important and kind of the foundation, right? Then we get to embracing cross-generational mentorship, what that means, what that looks like, what that how that strategy looks, meaning that it's not just two ways, it's multi perspective, it's multi generational. So you're going to be coming at this from multi lenses, right? And then also building, and we'll get to just bear with me the stress testing because I am so excited about getting to this. But let me mention this really quickly: generational pods. This is so important too. So creating generational, cross-generational pairings or pods, and really pairing individuals with different backgrounds, ages, to ensure that a balanced approach regarding decision making, collaboration is actually occurring at the company, right? So this diversity reduces the burden of feeling, and this is really important, solely responsible for innovation while ensuring the solutions are both modern and grounded in experience. This is so important. I hear from leaders all the time, wow, I'm carrying a heavy burden because
Mm.
I am the boss. I am the mentor. I am the one with the wisdom. This changes that. This changes that. Cross-generational mentorship changes that completely, meaning the leverage here of responsibility is across generations in the company.
Okay, here's a pause. If you are in a management position and you're feeling that pressure and that burnout and feeling unsupported and having all this like, "Oh my goodness, what am I gonna do?" Please reach out. Just have a conversation and just reach out because there's ways that we can help you with that and so that you can feel supported and nobody needs to go into the new year feeling that way when, you can shine and lead and feel fulfilled instead of the complete opposite. So please, if you are in that space and you're a manager, director, whatever the case, please reach out and have a conversation with us so we can see how we can support you.
Absolutely. I want to add to that too, Jen. I want you to remember that everybody is a leader or can be developed as a leader in your company. They need to be given the opportunity, and cross generational mentorship will help you get there, will help you create the ways, the steps to help people become better leaders. And being a better leader means dispersing that innovation, that wisdom, those ideas across the generations. So if you're open to it, which I don't know why you wouldn't be, because the nuggets that we've already shared in this one episode are going to help you build a more successful and healthy business. The last thing I want to mention here, we're getting to it, using multi-generational insights for stress testing. This is so important. It's a little different than what you had mentioned, but before launching a product or a strategy, test it with individuals from multi-generations, because their diverse perspectives and feedback can help you anticipate issues that you might not have considered. And guess what? That's going to save money. That's going to save time. That's going to increase, your revenue. Boom. Another nugget. And why wouldn't you do this? This proactive approach is absolutely going to minimize the stress of post-launch surprises, ensure broad market appeal. Broad market appeal. So before you ever launch a product or a strategy, use multi-generational insights for stress testing, because it's going to help you anticipate what you might incur or reduce the issues that you might have if you didn't do that. If that
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand who you're talking to, and
Right.
get their opinion, and get their insight, because that's where the gold is. That's how you can tell, like, well, what do we need to adjust to better serve the people? And I think so often, as in some of my experience in different companies, and even major big companies, it's like the complaint was always that we as the employees felt like we weren't heard, or how is management making these decisions? They're not even asking us. And that's such a common thing, which I never understood. And even though I've been out of that space for over a decade, I have friends that are in, like, different types of organizations, and it's still there. It's still there, where
Oh
management
yeah.
isn't listening. And I just always, you know, and this is actually some of the conversation you and I had, Summer, at the very beginning when this whole thing was in development. It was just like, why is it like that? Why aren't why aren't they all talking to each other to see what's needed? I don't understand why everything was being built like in a vacuum, and not asking the people who this program or whatever they're trying to do and roll it out to. They're not surveying them, or they're not getting the feedback and research. So I always think that was like a missed opportunity. And we all have friends who are unhappy at their work, and I'm like, gosh, it sucks, man. It doesn't have to be that way.
Right. Absolutely. It doesn't need to be that way. The word need just jog something. When you work with us, this is what we're doing. We're going to do a needs assessment to see where you're currently functioning at, to understand the needs of your company. We don't just jump in there and go, "Oh, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this." Here's what you get with our team. First of all, you get me, and I've done thousands of needs assessments, thousands of assessments on individuals, groups, on lots of different people and companies. The reason this is important is because you just don't jump into something and say, "Oh, you should do this." Because how are you going to know that's actually going to work for the company or an individual?
Right.
I've worked with so many communities where I've had to bring the community to the table to better understand what their needs are, so we can make a difference and reach those goals. Reach the things that we wanted to reach in regards to our strategy, in regards to community development, in regards to business development. You can't just jump in there and tell people what they need without understanding what their needs are. Because guess what? Those needs may not be addressed accordingly if you're missing out on what they need. It just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So if you currently have a somebody that you're working with, and they've done that, and they've just thrown this stuff at you, or they've thrown modules at you saying, use this, use that, use this, that's not very high touch, nor is it really going to meet your needs. Again, it's a band-aid.
Right.
So I wouldn't use the Band-Aid. I would say reach out to us, because we want to really help you change your culture, change what's happening, so you can be more successful. So those products and strategies that you're using are actually effective. They're getting and reaching your goals, right? So this multi-generational insights for stress testing is so important, because you're not just tapping into all the generations that work in your workforce, but you're also, by doing that, you're also looking at what might be coming down when you launch that product or program or that strategy that you didn't consider because you didn't consider those other generations.
Right.
So when you do, again, you're going to have a more broad market appeal if that's what you're going for. But if you're going for just one generation, because I know that there's certain products that do, because I hear the music that they're playing in a commercial and it's 80s music, which is my generation. And I'm like, okay, they're trying to target me. They're trying to appeal to my senses. And guess what? You'll catch me dancing down the aisle of the grocery store, probably to that product, right? Or at least picking it up and understanding, what is this product? What are they trying to sell me here?
Right.
Right? I mean, there's so many different variables. They're both conscious and subconscious in the way that people reach you in relation to a product, a service, a program, a strategy. So with our team, you get marketing, you get psychology, you get you get so many different things that we can draw from, because guess what? My team's also multi-generational. Right, Jen? Our team?
Yeah, we are. We are.
Yeah. So this is exciting. So let me ask you, Jen, with all that we've said today, what would be one of your nuggets for those that are listening or out there with us today or that will watch the replay?
Yeah, I think my nugget is gonna go back to the one of the last things we talked about towards the end of this conversation is, if you are in some kind of leadership or management position, I think I want to encourage you to ask yourself, like, when was the last time I talked to my team, my people in our group, whatever that looks like, and have I intentionally taken the time to have conversations to find out how they're doing? What is it that you need? How are you not feeling supported, and what can we do about it? Just have that conversation. Doesn't have to be, send out a Google form. I mean, you can if you want, but I think you just do that small gesture to show that you care and that you are actually taking the time to ask. I can't even tell you how impactful that can be. Not only for you as the organization to get that insight and feedback, but also on a social level that, like, you start to get that feeling of, oh wow, they're actually asking my opinion. It is crazy. It is so crazy how I think that it's such a missed opportunity in so many ways, where people don't feel heard and don't feel seen and feel like they're not being supported so they can elevate in the company. That's why people leave. So I think if you just take the time and ask yourself, when's the last time I had a conversation with the people that I'm managing and working with, I think you'll be surprised to find out so many great insights.
Absolutely. I love it, Jen.
Thanks. How about you? What's your nugget?
It's something very similar. As a leader, as a business owner, my question to you is, and please consider this, are you considering cross-generational mentorship in your strategy, in your business strategy? Not just your product or service, but are you considering this as something that's healthy and for the wellness of your company, that contributes to the wellness of your company? Are you considering cross-generational mentorship in all that you do? The reason I'm asking is because it is important. We've got 5 generations out there right now working together, or at least trying to work together. And here's the other thing that I want to add to this. With the new year coming, a lot of things are going to change for businesses. They're going to be asking more people to come into the office. They're
Right.
going to be asking people, to do different things or work hybrid when they've worked completely remotely. There's going to be a lot of asks for your employees. And guess what? Cross-generational mentorship, ideas, innovations, all this is really going to help support the transition with your companies during those changes. So let's talk. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you, Jen, for your insights. I
Thank
always love being
you.
here.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And before we log off,
Yeah.
just want to remind you guys, it's right there on the bottom is the follow us at Corbin LLC on LinkedIn. Help us get to 150. So that
Yeah. I guess
yeah.
we're only 18 away now. So
Yeah, I saw that. I just checked it. So, and
yeah.
then join us next week where we're going to be talking about Creativity Unleashed, turning ideas into impact. So we will see you guys next week.
Yay! Thank you, everybody, for joining us on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. And you know how we do this. We always dance this out. So let's dance this out. You ready, Jen?
Let's go.
All right. Awesome. Let me turn this up. Bye, everyone. Have a wonderful week. Hope you never need to. Bye. And catch the replay if you didn't catch it live today. Bye, everyone.